I put General Manager's Report GMR 20/007, submission to the New South Wales Government inquiry into the 2019 bushfires. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, councillors? Moved by Councillor Pollock, seconded by Councillor Tate. Councillors, any questions or debate? Councillor Mayne.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Just a question, I think, for the General Manager. I think it would be helpful for the community to understand what the process was to gather the information to bring this report here today to this council. Thank you.
Certainly, I'll get the General Manager to...
Through the Mayor, so this was very much a combined report in relation to certainly the staff that were directly involved in the bushfires, and in relation to the lessons learned from that. We had reports back from the evacuation centre that came via councillors who volunteered at the evacuation centres, and also staff who volunteered at the evacuation centres. And clearly we had a number of community members who also contacted us directly. So in relation to that, that came from a broad range of input. We also had a range of staff that also talked about the other aspects of this, and also some comments from the councillors. And so it's really been a combined effort. We hope that we've covered the key aspects of this review, but we have been encouraging via our media for people to also submit their own submission, and I think that's also important. We've certainly encouraged people to do that from the community. So we hope that we've captured all the multitude of issues and that they are very broad, and we think that this is a report that has had a lot of input from the community and also from councils and from council staff.
Just a quick question, Madam General Manager, you mentioned that the community can put in their submission as well. Do you know the exact date or the closing date for the submission, so that people can be aware that they may or may not have to get their skates on? 27th of March, just to be clear, yep.
Councillor Constable?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. I may have missed it in the reading, but there was a motion initiated prior to the devastation last year and adopted by Council under the Councillor Pollock brought the motion to the community and to the chamber, and it related to advocating for a revision of the fire thresholds for prescribed burning. I think that the content of that motion that Council adopted would be beneficial to be included within the submission.
It wasn't just burning reduction, it was hazard reduction full stop, and all of the protocols that were around that. I haven't got any argument about including, just adding it as it was presented with the background note.
Can we add it as an attachment? Include it in the submission. Jack, if you as seconder, Councillor Tate, if you as seconder of the motion agree, we can just include the motion that was passed on. What date was that?
It was the 10th of December.
10th of December. Oh, okay. That was the adaptation. 2019, Carl?
Councillor Pollock and Councillor Tate, is that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, councillors. Are there any further questions or debate? Councillor McGinley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. I'd just like to note in the report, it gives a quick summary of the considerations of this inquiry to which Council has responded. And the number one consideration, one in order, is the causes of and factors contributing to the frequency, intensity, timing and location of bushfires in New South Wales in the 2019-20 bushfire season, including consideration of any role of weather, drought, climate change, fuel loads and human activity. And I can't help but note in the 29 pages of this report, the words climate change do not appear once. I had considered making amendments to this, but given previous decisions by this council to reject even the words climate change, I thought that would be just wasting all our time. So what I will be doing instead is I won't be supporting this recommendation to accept this report, and I will do as other members of the public are doing, and I will make my own submission. But I will make reference to this report because there are several things in there which I totally agree with, and I'll make a point of supporting those elements. But I will put in my own report, and I will mention climate change, because I think it's a key factor that has been ignored.
Thank you, Councillor, and I absolutely agree, and I encourage any members and all councillors, if they have views on this, to ensure that they do put in their own submissions. Councillor Constable.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just a question to the councillor. I'll just refer to page 84, item 5, part 3, where it mightn't be in exactly the same wording as you might require, but it indicates it is further recommended that New South Wales Government and Australian governments fund more specific research on the likely and short and long-term impacts of the changing climate on bushfire and frequency and behaviour. So it is included.
Thank you, Phil. I missed that a little bit. It is still insufficient. Thank you.
So, councillors, if there is no further questions or debate, look, I'd just like to, I guess, make the following comments, and that is that I absolutely encourage all of my fellow councillors that have views on the experience that we have been through collectively as a community to put in a submission, and it is the 27th of March, I understand, is the cut-off date. And, you know, it's unfortunate that at this time there is just so much going on, and I do have a very strong feeling that there are so many members of our community that do have incredible contributions to make that are just at this point in time physically exhausted and mentally probably not in the space to put in comprehensive, and I include myself in that. And just touching on it, I did, along with Director Sharp, attend the Federal Royal Commission that was held in Bateman's Bay the other day, and it was, I must say, a little bit disappointing that we received very late notice. There seemed to be very little opportunity for members of the community to A, be aware, or B, to participate in that forum, and I think that it was obviously an opportunity missed to collect some incredible information and valuable information from our local community here. So again, I believe, Director Sharp, that has already closed, or it's closing on the...
Oh no, that's until 4th April.
Okay, so it is, and thank you, Mrs. Green. It is open till the 4th of April. So there again, I encourage not only my fellow councillors but members of the community to put in submissions to that. And Councillor McGinley, one of the clear, what's the correct term? Terms of reference was around climate change and the impacts on bushfire. So, you know, it's important that our community does make sure that we put our views forward to both of these very important inquiries. I also would like to thank members of our community that did come forward to us and make sure that they, through councillors, had their views reflected in this. And also acknowledge that, and I'm grateful to our General Manager that we as councillors were provided with this and allowed to have an overview and any input that we wanted to have into it. So I thank you for that, and once again I thank you for a comprehensive submission on our behalf. Councillor Mayne, it must be a question.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I was just wondering if at this late notice if I could still thank staff for their work in putting this together, but to acknowledge that I can't vote for it because climate change is simply not there. And this represents us as a council and then us as a community going forward. So this is now our formal view. If that's the case, I can't support the document. Thanks. Sorry for the late notice.
Thank you, Councillor, and I do apologise. It didn't actually need to be a question. You hadn't spoken. Councillors, if there's no further questions or debate...
Yeah, just a question. You mentioned the Royal Commission thing. Can we get some information on that? I didn't see it in my diary. I might have missed it. So can we get that sent to us in the links for everything for that, so we can get our own submissions in? Because can you make that sure again? Because I just haven't picked up to pick it up, so I might have misread. That's okay.
Oh, no, Councillor, there has been so much information.
I'm sure there has. I'm not blaming anybody.
And so that you are, councillors, aware, as I said before, there was very late notice. We received notice on the Friday afternoon and the Commission met on Tuesday morning. So it was extremely late notice. So, councillors, if there's no further questions or debate, I'll put the matter to the vote. Those in favour? Those in favour are myself, Councillor Innes, Councillor Brown, Councillor Tate, Councillor Constable and Councillor Pollock. It's carried. Those against are Councillor Mayne and Councillor McGinley. Thank you, councillors.